Hello there and welcome to another video. I'm so glad you're here. This is Jennifer McGuire. Today I have a lovely guest artist for you and her name is Bridget Casey. Bridget has a lot to share. First, she's going to address something I get a lot of questions about, and that is the Altenew layering die cut keyhole system. It's very impressive, so today she'll show you that. Also, she'll show you how to bring white die cuts to life using any inks that you may have. I have to apologize. Bridget did this video for me quite a while ago, and I'm just now getting around to sharing it, but I think you'll love it too. Let's get started.
Hello everyone, I'm Bridget Casey and I am so honored to be here on my friend Jennifer McGuire's channel. Jennifer, thank you so much for hosting me and having me share some new fabulous products from Altenew and a couple beautiful projects. This is absolutely a dream come true. So let's get started. First, I want to show you the A3 foldable cutting and alignment mat. You can see it's folded, which makes it easy to transport and store. It is 17 by 11 with grid markings in 1/4 inch increments. We'll go ahead and we will unfold. We also have the cards laid out for us in the center. So we have the A2 card panel in portrait and landscape. As well, we also have the zero centering lines to help us line things up on our projects effortlessly. The next thing we're going to look at is the CRAFTY flower Calla lily. If you've never seen these, on the back there is a layering guide which shows step by step how to layer your flowers together, and we'll take a look at the dies in just a second. There are inks shown that they use to create all of those projects there. So here you see the dies. On the dies, some have a keyhole, some have an arrow, a triangle, or a cross, and that will help you align your pieces. This die also includes 95% of the pieces I make to one flower. The ones that look like the bowling pin go with each of the florals there, so we'll use those as well. So here's an image of what you possibly could create with that set. Next, we're going to look at some inks that are coming out. This is dried petals. I did not have the first ink at the time of filming, but we have mauve, berrylicious, and acai berry. Such a beautiful pink tone family. Absolutely gorgeous. So just showing you I am missing that first one. Next up is Wood Warbler, which I love the name. We have Icy Lemonade, we have Oolong Tea, we have Citronella, and Green Gold. Such a beautiful family, and actually matches my sweatshirt nicely. So didn't notice that till now. Then we finally have Forest Trail Aloe Vera, Matcha Tea, Swamp Green, and Oak Moss. Such a beautiful bright family. I'm also today going to be using the mini blending brushes. These are super helpful for blending kind of small to medium pieces. Really helpful. And I keep them in the clamshell and just put their name at the top to store them. Here's the large blending brush. We didn't end up using it, but it's fabulous because it has its own holder. It works great for covering large areas. You can stand it up in there and there's no ink contamination on your other projects because it has its own holder or house. The ones we will be using today is the small blending tool. You can see I've already used mauve with one of those for my dried petals family there. And these are excellent to do small too. I've even done large projects with them. It just depends on the project, but I really do love those. These are the detail blending brushes. On the top, I have little stars that show me the colors. So I have green and pink here to use with our projects. There are 3 sizes. These are not flat. These are actually angled to get all the detail into your project. So these are excellent, and they have their own holder as well. So I've die cut all the pieces to save us some time, but I wanted to show you could use our gradient cardstock set, and you could just use the paper, or you could ink blend on the paper to add extra detail and definition. You also could add some of our glitter cardstock in for some of your pieces for just that extra special touch. Now, a lot of times when we ink blend, this is how we inset our pieces back into the die cut piece and use some satin masking tape to hold them into place. And then we would come in with our blending tool and we would blend them. So that's another way that you can blend all of your pieces. Today, I'm going to go ahead and use the Ultra Sticky Mat from my stamp wheel. So I've taken that out of my stamp wheel. I actually have multiples of these sticky mats for purposes just like this. I have one that gets messy and one that doesn't. So, because you'll see today, I have some residue of pink color left over, but it still works perfectly. It doesn't affect how it works at all. And if just to clean these in the video, I just use water with a microfiber cloth. But for deep cleaning, I take it to the sink with some Dawn and just rinse it all off and let it air dry, and it is back to full stickiness. So I'm using Pastel Sunrise and I'm applying that to all of my pieces. I'm trying to go easy and I chose Pastel Sunrise because I did not have that first ink in that family yet. So I thought it was a good pairing. Now we're coming in with mauve. So while my Pastel Sunrise, I'm trying to go light. I'm covering the whole piece, but I'm going in light. I'm not trying to overwhelm any areas. With the mauve, I'm going to start planning a roadmap, shall we say, for the flowers. I want to lay out so that I know as I move through my inks where I want to add the darker ink tones. Now these pieces are beautiful. You could leave some of them like this lighter. I like to add all the colors. So we're on to Berrylicious now. I like to add all the colors to all the pieces. I want all the colors on one project. So, but you could stop, and only do a few pieces, which will give you beautiful variation in your floral. Now we're moving up to a acai berry, which I always say wrong. This is the darkest color, so you're going to want to follow your map if you have one when you have laid that out. As well, think about the pieces and where they're going to go on the flower. You can look at the back of the layering guide to help you with that. Over right here, this piece would be folded over on the flower, so I am adding darkness at the top of it. Now we're going to do the centerpiece of the flower with Citronella, and I'm blending that over the entire piece. Next we'll come in with green gold, and that we're just going to add so we have some depth and definition to the centerpiece there. And remember, down at the bottom where the keyhole is going to be covered up, so we don't really have to worry if we get excess ink in that area. So I'm going to start layering my pieces together here as I take them off. I'm using glue tape, but you may need to use a liquid glue or double-sided adhesive sheets or ultra sticky tape if your paper is too wet from ink blending. So I'm going now in with the espresso marker from the Coffee Break Artist Marker set from Altenew, and I'm adding in those details that have been debossed into this piece when I die cut it. When the ink blending, it covers up the debossing a little bit. So I wanted to draw the person's attention back to that detail in the floral. So here's our final keyhole piece on this flower. It's going to fall apart. I'm going to have to re-glue it down, but it's easy to put and line right up with that keyhole. Super easy. Then Altenew gives us these pieces that cover up the keyhole so that nobody knows we had assistance in putting this together. They think we just miraculously layered this together and we have this stunning floral that is just looks like it took us forever to put together, and because of this system, it's super fast. So here's my flower. I'm not happy with the bottom of that petal where it's so bright. So I'm coming in with Berrylicious and just taking away some of that brightness there. So there we go. I'm happier with how that flower has come out. So as you can see, I've cleaned my mat and I'm now putting the cross flower onto my stamp mat. Or sticky mat, I'm sorry. This time I'm going to use a detail blending brush with Citronella. I'm going to cover the entire, this is piece 2, the entire piece 2, I'm going to cover it with Citronella. Once I'm done there, I'm going to bring in the green gold again. And now with my detail blending brush, I can really add lots of detail because it's smaller and it's angled. So it's easier. You can see I went really dark around the cross because nobody's going to see it. So that's where I can get off some excess ink as well. So I've pulled that up with my tweezers, and now I'm going to use the angle to my advantage to add really a lot of depth right there on the edge, by just dabbing this. We used to use finger daubers, but these detail blending brushes work fabulously for this. Now we're going to go ahead. I was trying to get it so you can see the detail, and you can see it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in, again, that deboss detail with the Coffee Break Espresso Artist Marker from Altenew. So I'll put that up there. We'll cover the ink before we have an accident. And then we will come in with Pastel Sunrise. Again, with Pastel Sunrise, I'm coming in darker where the alignment part is, whether it's the cross or the keyhole, arrow, or triangle, and I'm adding the ink on. But I'm being careful because I can always go back and add more, but I can't take it away. So here's the mauve, and again, this is the step where we're going to go ahead and we're going to start planning. We're going to plan where we would like to have additional color if necessary. So we got that. And you can always change these pieces. I highly recommend layering these pieces together before adhering them together. Now we're coming in with Berrylicious, and again, I'm going to follow that roadmap. The positive of layering them together before you adhere them together is that you can go back in if there's an area that you're like, oh, that's way too light, way too light. And here's the acai berry, and we'll come in and we'll add that as our final ink on this to add some beautiful deep depth and color. And so once we have this all put down, we will go ahead and we will add some more Pastel Sunrise. Now here, I did not clean my mat, and I'm just using the Pastel Sunrise. So I didn't get true Pastel Sunrise, but that's okay because I wanted it to be darker. And I am super happy with how this actually came out. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the glue tape, and I'm going to start aligning my pieces using that cross alignment guide. We'll get those with glue tape on the back. Now, if you had used the double-sided adhesive sheets, you could just put these together like stickers, just peel and stick. I also use the ultra sticky tape, which is on a roll sometimes. So here we go. I'm just aligning these pieces final, and we will put this, I call it the Y. So we'll put the Y on, and there's a little notch on the side that I'm aligning that little Y up with, so that I can finish off this beautiful calla lily. So next we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the arrow flower. And again, I'm putting my pieces in sections. Generally the pieces that are over on the bottom right, I want to be a little bit lighter. It doesn't always work out that way, but on the packaging they were lighter. So that's why I've separated them out, just to remind myself that those should be a little bit lighter. So I'm covering everything with Pastel Sunrise, those 3 pieces, and then I'll come in with mauve. And again, this is where I start my plan the work and work the plan, as they say. So that's what we are doing with this flower here. We're getting where I think it would be darker. And it may, I know I mentioned layering your flower together after you have the ink on it. It may also be useful, and here's Berrylicious, it may also be useful for you to layer your flower together when it is in its original form, whether you use the gradient cardstocks or white cardstock, so that you can see the pieces and see possibly where shadows may be if that's important to you. And if that's not important to you, then just blend and have fun. That's all that matters, is that you have fun in creating these projects. You can go as realistic as you want, or the beautiful thing about us as crafters is we can create the flowers that we want. We can create what we don't see in nature. So now that was too bright. So I'm going in with Pastel Sunrise and a small blending tool. And this is where I'm showing I got a little contamination because I used the matte when it had the other colors. So now we'll use Citronella up top, and then I'll come back in with my mini blending tool, this time with the green gold. I generally use the mini blending tool. I feel I can get depth and definition just using the mini blending tool. I use them frequently, so I'm very comfortable in using them. And then I'm peeling and bending my mat so I can get my pieces up without distorting my pieces. So we'll go ahead and we'll use our glue tape and tweezers. Tweezers are critical for layering together these dies. They make it so easy. So now we're just aligning our arrows as we go. And also you're aligning your arrow, but you can also look at the shape around there. So I can see at the bottom that there's a curve. So I'm keeping that in mind as I'm aligning as well. So I have another Y here. We're going to put on our little Y. This actually reminds me of a bird. I don't know why that piece reminds me of a bird, but it does. I name all the pieces because all the pieces separate look like something. So that's my bird piece. I have my Y piece. You know, there's some that look like clamshells. So here we go. And I forgot to add in my little dots. So I'm adding them in after it's all put together. You just have to be a tad bit more careful when you do it that way. So I highly recommend doing it when the piece is not assembled. So this is our final calla lily, and I'm blending with the small blending tool, and I am blending on the pastel sunrise, but I did not clean my mat, so I'm getting a lot of the leftover pinks, which is okay. I'm okay with that. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm coming in with a mini ink blending tool and mauve, again, outlining where I want my darkest places to be. And this did end up being a darker calla lily. So if you like the lighter tones, and in editing, I'm loving the lighter tones. I wish I would have stopped on some pieces. So it just means I have to make another card, right? We have Berrylicious here just to add that really dark, delicious, beautiful color. And then the acai berry will finish off our final calla lily, which is very exciting. So we're going to go ahead and finish ink blending on these pieces, and they came together gorgeous. And I think that's the great thing as you make these. If you're like, ooh, it would have been better lighter, it just means we get to make another card. And how exciting is that? That's very, very exciting. I just need to send my cards. That's my problem. So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to align our triangles, piece 1 with piece 2, and then the final piece that will cover up our triangle there. It fits the shape of the flower, and we have our final calla lily. Now we're going to start working on leaves, and we're going to go with the Forest Trail family. So we're going to go ahead and begin with aloe vera, which is such a beautiful color. We have our stems here, and then I'm getting all of the leaf pieces laid out so that we can do them all at once. Normally, when I do my flowers, I do the method that I've shown you here. I like to have them so each shape is done one at a time. It may seem repetitive, but it's the process that I like. So I'm taking the aloe vera and a small blending tool, and I'm adding all of the aloe vera to the leaves. And again, I'm trying to be careful to not add, sorry, I keep bumping my mat. I'm trying to be careful not to add too much color, because again, I can't take the color off. I can always go back and add more, as you've seen me do a couple times in the video. So I hope you find your method working with layering die cuts. So whether you like to, like I do all the leaves at once, do all, one type of flower at once. I hope you find the method that works best for you. And if you're still looking for a method, try them all out and see which one you like. So now, because I want to add ink in very specific places with the matcha tea, I have switched over to the mini ink blending tool. And I will use this for the rest of my inking because I'm able to, because I use it so frequently, I'm able to get it into areas that are maybe smaller. So as you practice with these blending tools, you as well will be able to fit the mini blending tools into places and get detail without using the detail blending brushes. But the detail blending brushes are fabulous. Swamp green here, adding in the detail. You saw adding in the detail to the center of the flower. It really gave depth and dimension. And you can also do this. You could pick up the leaves and you could edge the leaves with this mini blending tool as well. So we're going to go ahead and finish ink blending. I'm trying to ink blend in those ones that look like a heart on the bottom. I'm trying to blend up through the center so it looks like the leaf is curved. And then these, because it's already curving, I'm putting the darker on there. We'll finish up with oak moss. And again, I'm already just following my roadmap. Everything's been laid out for me. I'm just kind of going along and following the roadmap that I've laid out by building up the color over time. And here we go, adding that in. And it's wonderful to see the first color, which is aloe vera against the oak moss. It's just so beautiful, and it gives additional highlights. You could also use gel pen at this point to add more highlights as well. So that was too bright, so I'm going back in with aloe vera now and adding that over some of the leaves that were a little too bright for what I wanted for this project. So now we're going to peel all of our leaves off, and we do have one of the leaves that is a layer, so we'll put that together in just a moment. I didn't actually end up using all of the stems that I had there. I only ended up using 2, but that's okay. A lot of times projects change from beginning to end. So here, this layer's together. You could put foam tape on the back, but I just used glue tape here. But foam tape gives you another fun way to use your supplies. So we're going to bring in our calla lilies, and we have all of our leaves. Then we're going to go ahead and get a card base, and we're going to put that right in the center with the lines on the mat. We're going to use Timeless Sentiments. This is on navy cardstock, the shadow. And I decided to tuck this fit perfectly in with that thank you. I thought about adding more flowers, and this just worked really well for my eye. I was super happy with it. So this is going to be the card. So we'll go ahead now, and I'm going to add dimension by adding some foam tape. That adds just such a special touch to your card as well. But I totally understand. I know there are a lot of folks that don't want to pay the extra postage. So I totally understand that as well. But I am definitely on team dimension. I love having dimension in my cards, whether it's the sentiment or the floral. Just love it. And I did not put foam tape over on the other side because it's going to be on my flower. So we have that. So now I can pull out my other pieces, and I can put glue tape on the back of the flower, calla lily, and I will tuck that in behind my sentiment. And it's going to snuggle right in next to that thank you. And then I'll take my heart leaf there, put some glue tape on the back there, lift that up. The good thing is glue tape, you have a hot minute to adjust a little bit, but once that glue tape sticks, it is stuck. Then for added interest, I put a small piece of foam tape behind that top leaf, so it works for holding it in place and added dimension. So there's our first card. You could add some splatters as well. So now I've put another panel into the holder on the foldable mat, so I can align things beautifully. And now I'm just kind of playing with an arrangement with the rest of my calla lilies for this card. So I've got my stems there. And I'm not worrying about the fact that I have 3 calla lilies and 1 stem. I now have my press and seal, and I'm going to pick up my flowers, and I'm pushing down on ones that maybe didn't want to come with me the first time to make sure that they lift up, and we will flip this up and over. I'm not worried about that stem that fell off. Now I'm going to use a little liquid glue to hold the stem down at the top. So I'll get that in place and hold that down. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the stem down here as well. So the stem is anchored and glued into place, so it's not going to move. Now I'm going to come in with some foam tape, and I'll just start putting it in areas. So I put some over the stem to make sure that stays in place. Then I'll add some strategically on the back of my other calla lilies. And I'm doing it, I normally would cover this, but I'm trying to have restraint so you don't have to watch me with foam tape. So here we go, and I'm just going to make sure that I like that. I was trying to stick my leaves in there as well, but it wasn't working for me at that point. So I figured I would stick this down, and then I'll bring the leaves in, because you can always cut them and trim them to make them fit. So I'm pulling the backing sheets off the foam tape. Then I'm bringing in liquid glue for the stem and liquid glue on the Instant Dimension foam tape. It makes it movable. So if I have to slide it or something, I have a second before that sticks by using the liquid glue on top of the Instant Dimension foam tape. It just makes it less sticky, if that makes sense. It'll be stickier in the end, but I'm able to move it. So I have to just put my other stem on. I'm just going to use glue tape for that. and I'm super duper happy with how this arrangement has come out. And I'm going to use another one of the Timeless Sentiments. This one will be Hello, and it's on navy and white. We'll bring that in just a moment. First, we're going to go ahead and we're going to tuck leaves in and around our arrangement. This is the fun part. You get to play. Like, all the work is done. You've ink blended, and now you just get to have a play. This is my favorite part of crafting, is this right here. I have all the components. I just need to make them work for my eye. So this I was super happy with. Again, I'm putting Instant Dimension foam tape under the leaves right there. They'll hold them in place, and it adds a little bit of interest to the card. So I've got all of my leaves glued down on the right hand side. Now we'll go ahead and add some foam tape to the back of the sentiment. And then once we have that, I'm lining it up so I can use those markings to make sure my hello is straight. We'll pick it up, and with my fine blade scissors, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess. And there we have our 2 cards. Thank you so much for joining in today. It has been such an honor and a pleasure to be here on Jennifer's channel. I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon in another video. Until then, happy crafting, my friends.
Thank you so much, Bridget, for sharing this with us. I hope you were inspired. I can't wait to use some of these tips for inking up die cuts, especially those layering die cuts with that keyhole system. If you're interested in the supplies that Bridget uses, I have them linked in my description below. I also link to where you can see more of Bridget's work. At the end here, I'll link to a couple other related videos, and I appreciate the time you're spent here with us, and I will be back soon with another video. Take care.